Welcome everyone to Sunrise Sunday School week before Christmas video. I hope you've had a great week, done all your Christmas shopping. We've still got a little bit to do, and maybe all you have left is the wrapping. So I'm really thankful for gift bags and tissue paper. I can tell you that makes it a whole lot easier. Well, as you can see, Mr. Peter couldn't be here today. He's working. Trust me, he'd rather be here than there. But it's so he can have an extra day off at Christmas to celebrate with us. I did tinsel up his hat though. There we go. And as you can see, I got myself in the Christmas spirit with my hat. I had to buy this one, so it's got a tiara on it and all the sparkles. So I thought this week we wouldn't look at a Christmas story from the Bible. Instead, I've called this lesson Getting and Giving. After all, if we're not careful, Christmas can become the one without the other, right? You know, way back when I was a child, I was very focused on the getting. I think that's pretty normal. And as the pile of presents grew underneath the tree, so did my excitement about which ones were for me. You know, in my family, we were allowed to have one present by the side of our bed to open first thing on Christmas morning. The rest of them had to wait until after church. I used to try so hard to stay awake to wait for the present to be placed there. But I never did see it arrive or who put it there. Maybe you have a particular gift that you remember getting. Mine, one year, I think I was about 8, and we were all gathered in the living room opening our presents, and my dad, it was his turn to open a present. And he was having trouble doing it. And he said to me, Kathy, would you go into the kitchen and get a pair of scissors? And I was like, Dad, I'm the furthest from the door. You know, one of the boys can go get it. No, Kathy, I need you to go and get me a pair of scissors from the kitchen. So I got up, went into the kitchen, and there it was. My very first big girl bicycle. And it was such a surprise. I had no idea I was getting it. But here's the best thing of all. Afterwards, I found out it wasn't a brand new bike. My parents couldn't afford a brand new bike, but they got this one and they had painted it blue and yellow and they'd spruced it up. And it was the most fabulous present. And that's the one that I remember. It was just really, really special to me. But as I got older, much as I loved the getting, the giving of presents began to be just as important. I loved watching my family open the gifts I had got for them. The surprise and joy, even if it was something they had asked for, made me just as happy as the presents I received. And watching our children over the years open their gifts has been wonderful. Even now when they're all grown up, it's really fun to make other people happy with what you're giving them. But where did this tradition of giving gifts come from? Well, we talked last week about the wise men, the Magi, who came and brought gifts to Jesus. And perhaps that does have something to do with it. Or perhaps you've heard of a person called St. Nicholas. Way back in the 4th century, St. Nicholas, who wasn't a saint then, he was just a bishop, was a real person who reportedly began looking after and giving presents to poor people, making sure they were taken care of. He had a reputation as a generous and kind man who believed in the risen Christ. His motivation for helping people in practical ways came from Jesus himself. Jesus said it is more blessed to give than to receive. In other words, in God's eyes, it's much better to give than to get. Well, as years went by and the story of St. Nicholas was told all over Europe, legends of miracles that he performed to help the poor and the unhappy, a day was set aside, December the 6th, to celebrate who he was. He became the patron saint of children in particular, and so gifts were given to children to remember what he used to do. You know, growing up in England, we knew St. Nicholas as Father Christmas, a jolly old elf, as the poem goes. We always got a few presents from Father Christmas, and our boys still do today, sometimes from Mother Christmas. And we'd leave a mince pie and a glass of sherry by the fireplace on Christmas Eve and it was always gone in the morning. That'd make anybody jolly, don't you think? Anyway, when you think about St. Nicholas or Father Christmas or even Santa Claus, there's nothing bad about him, is there? He's always happy and laughing, excited about what he's doing and the joy that he's spreading. Well, no, that's not quite true. At the beginning of the movie, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Santa's pretty grumpy. You remember that? He's not very kind to Rudolph. He tells Herbie he can't be a dentist, and he definitely doesn't like the elves' choir singing. Fortunately, he gets over that one bad day and becomes jolly again. Pretty much everyone thinks of him as kind and giving, just like St. Nicholas and just like Jesus. I think you know that one of my favorite books is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. To me, one of the best parts is when Mr. and Mrs. Beaver and 3 of the children, Peter, Susan, and Lucy, are on their way to see Aslan. They have to be very careful not to be discovered. While resting under an overhang on the side of the road, they hear sleigh bells, and they think it's probably the White Witch, who has turned Narnia into an icy, cold land. Mr. Beaver bravely goes up to investigate and comes back with wonderful news. Not the dreaded White Witch, but Father Christmas himself. He hasn't been seen in Narnia since the White Witch took it over. Excitedly, they go up to see him. He tells them that now Aslan is on the move, the hold of the White Witch over Narnia is weakening, and the thaw of the snow and ice has begun. Notice he doesn't take credit for it. He points them to Aslan and is thrilled that he is back. He also gives them each a gift, useful gifts to be used in the coming battles, and food for their journey. Then he's off in his sleigh to bring the good news to others in Narnia. So let's think about this. God has had a plan all along to save the world and us from Satan. His plan was put into action with the birth of Jesus in Bethlehem. Right there and then, the hold that Satan has over our world began to weaken, just like the White Witch's grip on Narnia. And with the coming of Jesus into the world, the power of God began to be seen. And hearts that were hard towards God began to thaw. Ever since, that is what Jesus has been doing. His death on the cross was the final victory over Satan for everyone. And he continues to draw us to him and thaw our hearts so we can accept his message of salvation. That message is a true gift from God. The greatest gift for all of us is his son, Jesus. Jesus told us that he came to give us life, but not just any old life, a lot of life. The Bible calls it abundance, and it is there for us if we accept it. But does God expect anything back from us? After all, Jesus said it's better to give than receive, right? What can we give to God? Does he need anything? Well, no, God has everything he needs. But what might he want? My mum's favorite Christmas carol gives us the answer. It's called In the Bleak Midwinter. The first verse goes like this, and I'm not going to sing. Thankfully for you, I'm not going to sing it. In the bleak midwinter, frosty wind made moan. Earth stood hard as iron, water like a stone. Snow had fallen, snow on snow, snow on snow, in the bleak midwinter, long ago. But it's the last verse that tells us exactly what God wants from us, each and every one of us. What can I give him, poor as I am? If I were a shepherd, I would bring a lamb. If I were a wise man, I would do my part. Yet what can I give him? Give my heart. So I would say the most important thing you can do this Christmas is make sure you give your heart to Jesus. And don't worry, he won't lose it. Once he has it forever, it's safe and secure. And God will say, that's exactly what I wanted you to give me. Okay, I get to light the 4th Advent candle on our wreath. We're almost there. This one is the red candle right here, and it stands for peace, and it's known as the angel's candle. Come on, light it up. There we go. All right. So now we have hope, faith, joy, and peace, all of which can be found in Jesus. You know, maybe this coming week we can be excited not just about what we're going to get for Christmas, but what we can give to those around us. And not just in actual gifts, but in our kind words, kind actions, and joyful attitudes. And be thankful to God for the best gift of all, which is Jesus. Well, we hope to see you at one of the Christmas Eve services this week and celebrate the birth of Jesus together. But in the meantime, stay safe and well, and we will see you next week when Mr. Peter will be back. Have a wonderful week. We love you, we miss you, and we'll see you soon. Bye.